She didn't just stand there. She did not just stand there, although she had every right to do so. It was Mother's Day, after all, and she is a mother and grandmother extraordinaire. She should have been brunching or lunching or lounging, but she did none of those things because she felt an inexorable call to go to her brother. She felt an inexorable call to go to her brother. Now, to be fair, this woman, your friend, our sister, has attended to her brother her entire life, and even more so since their parents have died. His illness has put him in a pretty steady decline, and he has received the very best of care, and very much so from herself. But she put all the celebrations on hold, and she got in her car and she drove across town to be with him. And she sat with him all day long, all Mother's Day, until the shadows lengthened and night was upon her. And she realized that she was empty, and she stepped away for a few minutes just to get a bite to eat, when all of a sudden she was called right back to his bedside. And she took his hand, his light grip she knew as well as her own, and she held it until he took his last breath. She couldn't just stand there. She had to go to her brother. Now, I only know this story because she told me it herself. 2 Fridays ago, I heard that her brother had died, and so I picked up the phone and I called her. And this story tumbled out of the receiver, and as I heard it, I said to myself, this is a miracle. This is a miracle. The Spirit of God rose up in her and drove her from her home and all the way to her brother's bedside. It was the Spirit of God that drove her so that she could show her indomitable love for her brother. And I testify to you this day, that's as great a miracle as Jesus feeding the multitude with a few loaves of bread and fish. It's as great a miracle as Jesus giving sight back to the blind man. And yes, it's as big a miracle as Jesus evicting the demons from the body of the little girl. Because the fact is, when you and I and anyone else submits to the love of Jesus Christ, when we submit to His love and His Spirit fills us, when we dare to go, when we quit standing here and we dare to go to see the other person, we take the presence of the living God with us. And that is a miracle of the first degree. In truth, there's no Christian that should be living a static life. No matter what age, no whatever passage in life, no Christian should be living a static life. Our flat feet are not anchored to the ground as if we're waiting in line, sort of in a queue for our time to go upstairs. That's not the Christian life. That's an abomination. We're called, when the Spirit rises up in us, to become unfrozen and step out. And nowhere is this seen better than the cryptic story of Jesus' ascension. Jesus, after His resurrection, spent 40 days with His disciples, appearing to them over and over again, having intimate communion with them. But to the end of that time, He departed from them. And as He left them, the disciples are left there confused and disconsolate. They're frozen, looking up into heaven. All of a sudden, 2 angels appear. And they say, "Men of Galilee, why are you just standing there? Why are you just standing there?" And all of a sudden, like a mighty tidal wave, they remember the words of Jesus just a little bit before when He said, the Holy Spirit will be given to you, and you shall be my witnesses in Jerusalem and Judea and Samaria, even unto the ends of the earth. How can you just stand there knowing that? And you know what, my dear friends, when we're given the Spirit, it's not just sort of a glossy sheen added to you or me as if we were one of these used sedans on San Pedro Avenue sitting in a used car lot. No, when the Holy Spirit is given to us, it's a complete overhaul inside out. We become, in essence, a new order of being. Yes, a new order of being. You know, St. Paul got this later in his life. And in a verse from a letter he wrote in his second letter to the Corinthians, he tells us this candidly, but we often miss it. But I think it's worth hearing again. He says, "And now we shall see with unveiled faces the glory of God as it is reflected in a mirror, as you and I are being transformed in glory from one degree to another." Now think about that again. You and I now are seeing with unveiled faces. We're seeing the glory of God as if in a mirror. Oh. Who did you see in the mirror this morning as you were brushing your teeth? And some of you, present company excluded, were combing their hair. Who did you see in the mirror? Who? This is not a trick question. You saw yourself. Thank you, Oliver. You saw yourself. You with unveiled faces will see the glory of God as if reflected in a mirror. You are the glory of God. The glory of God through the power of the Spirit is indwelling you and me. You know, one of the tug-of-wars I have at this church that I dearly love is the fact that this candle, the Paschal candle, has to stay lit from the Easter Vigil all the way to Pentecost Sunday, next Sunday. It has to stay lit at every celebration. We light it on the Easter Vigil when the church is completely dark. We just had Good Friday. The church is stripped to the bones, and we dare to light this candle as we march into the church. And we keep it lit all through the Easter season. What does it say to us? Jesus Christ is the light of the world. No matter how much they tried to put out that light, it cannot be extinguished. There's no power in hell or in heaven or any place else that can put out the light of Christ. Can you say amen to that? Amen. That's true. That's true. But after the last celebration on Pentecost, the Reverend Rob Harris will put this candle out and he'll put the candle up. You know why? Because on Pentecost, that light, the Paschal light, begins to descend on us. You know the story. Tongues of fire are lit on the disciples. Well, that's us. And we become Paschal candles throughout the world. Whoa! The glory of God is in us. Knowing that, how can you and I possibly just stand here? But beware. Beware. The Spirit does its best work in community. It's not, rarely does the Spirit work in amongst the solitary. It works amongst us when we're here. And we've experienced that time and again. This was brought home to me, though, last Monday. I was at the men's Bible study on San Pedro at La Salsa, and Dennis Eberhardt began to tell us about Caitlin's graduation from the University of Texas. I know. My feelings are the same. Didn't she just start yesterday? Didn't I have to listen to Dennis over and over again? What am I going to do? My daughter's going to college. You know, easy peasy. But anyway, you know, many of you were cornered as well. But Dennis was saying what it was like to be at this graduation. It was just magnificent. And Caitlin was the prettiest one there, yes. Anyway, they invited David O. Brown to speak. You know, he is the former police chief in Dallas, African-American man, and he was the police chief when the 5 officers were killed. And he looked out at those graduates and he said, do you want to know how to heal the world? Do you know what you need to do to bring people back to the light? Do you know how to bring love and compassion back to our communities? And all the graduates are sitting there going, no, but we won't do. You know what he said? Invite someone to dinner. Invite someone to dinner. I want you to think about that for a minute. When you invite someone to sit around your table with your family or with you and a few friends, you're inviting them into the embrace of the love of your presence. And in that place, people are truly changed. That's how people are changed. Not by great speeches or even great sermons. They're changed because of your loving presence. That's how it happens. David O. Brown is correct. Of course, you know, if you're at men's Bible study, you got Dennis sitting here. But over here, you have Moses. And he goes, and yes, more people have been converted in a believing community than anywhere else. That was Bishop Fry, you know. Best thing to do with this Bible study is just sit there and listen, you know. But it's true. And I experience that here all the time. You know, last Sunday, Ann Wright and Kay and I invited all the newcomers in the parish to come to our house. That's what we do pretty much every month. And we didn't bargain for this, but we had 22. Now, I live in a pretty small house, so we were kind of packed in there like sausages. And of the 22, 7 were children, and that was wonderful. But we're sitting there, and we were seated there. I asked one question: what brought you to Christ Church, and what keeps you here? And all but one adult said this: I came to Christ Church because I was so wonderfully welcomed. And every time I come back, people embrace me with the same welcome. Now, consider that. I keep on coming back because the welcome doesn't end. Whoa. Now, not one single person said, I come because of the vaunted architecture. No one said, I come back because of the rhapsodic music. No one, absolutely no one, in 5 years and 2 months and 3 days has said, I come back for the riveting sermons. But every week when we call people on Sunday night, ask Rob Harris, ask Scott Kitayama, ask Brian Keeler. They tell us the same thing, don't they? I come because this is where I'm welcomed. Knowing that, how in the world could we possibly just stand here? How? Knowing what power, what hope we can extend to other people's lives. Now, there was one person that did not say that. And she said, I came back, I keep coming back because Christ Church has a commitment to outreach. Seems like you're always sending people to do this or that, and you're serious about it. And I hope that's true. And as I pondered what she said, I realized that when we become unfrozen and we're no longer kind of standing here, we begin to give others the courage and permission to no longer stand there either. Isn't that true? We begin to let people become unfrozen as well. I've seen that in a lot of our ministries here because of you, probably nowhere more powerfully than at James Madison. And the thing about James Madison and I honor about that ministry so much is that it's a cooperative ministry. As you know, those families, those children have given us as much as we've given them. Wouldn't you agree with that? I mean, and so as Mary Boone has reminded me, it's not us and them, it's just us. It's just us. And so it's been a wonderful thing. But the hardest thing we've ever did was try to get kids to go to Camp Capers. Now, it sounded like a great idea at the time. And we raised enough money to send, we send every child to camp, tuition free, and we also buy all their little outfits and things like that that they can feel more, feel welcome. But, that first year, we stood on our head, we advertised, we cajoled. I mean, Barbara Black, I swear I thought she was going to do cartwheels down the main hall of James Madison, and still no kids would go. And what we discovered is that very few of those wonderful children had been away from home for any extended period. This was very scary for them. At the same time, these wonderful families had spent most of their life in their neighborhood, anchored in their neighborhood, right? And so we had a tough time. But finally, Barbara got 4 little girls to go. And I'll never forget the Sunday when she went to pick them up. She picked them up, and they asked to use her cell phone. And all 4 girls called me. And he said, Pat, can we go back next year? And I said, as long as Christ Church stands on Belknap, you'll go to camp as many times as you want to. And the next year, of course, there were 20 kids who went. And all we do is raise money for camp now. But I know you're tired of hearing me, but I want you to hear from the kids. This year I received 25 letters from children you sent to camp last year, and I just picked 4. But I want you to hear about your impact on kids' lives. This is from Cassandra. I like Camp Capers because I get to express myself, make new friends, go explore, sing, have campfires, and be able to have fun. Capital F, capital U, capital N, exclamation point. Even though it's my 2nd year going to Camp Capers, it's still a lot of fun. But when it comes to Sunday and we see our parents happy to see us, all of us kids don't want to leave camp. This one I love. This is from Anthony. It's typed. To whom it may concern. Lord, I thought we were being sued again. What? I would like to say thank you for paying for me to go to Camp Capers. I really appreciate it because I like going. There's so many fun things that we do there, like going swimming, creating art projects, kayaking, and playing capture the flag. I've also made many friends there from many different neighborhoods and have learned a lot about God. So once again, thank you for taking me. Sincerely, Anthony. This is from Rihanna. Dear Christ Church, I would like to say thank you for giving me a scholarship to attend your camp. I really appreciate the help because I really enjoy the program. I'm excited to learn more about God and His love for me. And I'm also excited for the different activities we do. I also appreciate the environment and its ability to help me to gain new friendships. So thank you again for this opportunity. Now I saved Jake's for last. What I've enjoyed about this camp is the food. The pool, and basically everything. It's definitely the best camp I've ever attended. Plus, it's the only camp I've ever attended. Also, makes my mother happy because it keeps me off TV and stuff like that. All the other activities like art, swimming, and resting, I like all those. Going outside to play. The reason I want to attend summer camp again is because it's one of the best things I've ever done. The only thing I don't like is waiting in line. I believe Jake is a young prophet. I thank you for making this possible. But I also want to tell you that you and I were not meant to wait in line. We were not meant to just stand here, but to step out, become unfrozen, and take the promises and hope of God to all those who so badly need to hear them.